Good evening, everyone. Very good evening. Can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me? Hello, Pratibha. Thank you for joining us. How are you
Hello,
doing?
good evening, Atul.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's Dr. Prithika. Yeah, I like her. I follow her.
Oh, lovely, lovely. So you're in store for some surprises this evening. Super excited for today's session also. Hope you're all well. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Pratibha. What about everybody else? How is everyone doing? Everyone seems to be busy and on mute. Please feel free to unmute, ladies and gentlemen. How is everyone doing today?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Vasanti. How are you?
Yeah, this is Neeta.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Nita. You're Nita. Yeah, hi, Nita.
Hi.
Lovely, lovely. We got our doctor with us.
Hello.
As always, looking so lovely and graceful. Thank you so much for gracing this occasion, this talk show, this episode. So before we begin, let me welcome all of you to the 4th episode of Tuesday Talkies, bringing conversation to life. Now, today's topic is a very interesting one. We're talking about well-being and resilience. And with us, we got a very prominent leader in that field. So before that, I would like to introduce myself. Hi guys, I'm Coach Atul Abraham Matthew, but you can call me the master of all trade, as I love exploring and exploring new horizons and dabbling in different fields. I'm a firm believer in pushing boundaries, trying new things, and embracing failure as a part of my journey. Today, our guest speaker is a very prominent speaker and a prominent doctor in her field. Let me a brief introduction. She's a senior consultant since 1978, and she is the only lady doctor qualified and practicing as both a neurophysician and a neurosurgeon. She even served the Tamil Nadu government in Madras Medical College from 1974 to 1982. And she even worked with one of the famous hospitals, Apollo Hospitals in Chennai, for 28 years. Right now, she's working with Kaveri Hospital in Chennai. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our prominent guest speaker today, Dr. Prithika Chary. Welcome, 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 Doctor. Thank you so much for coming, for taking time and coming to be a part of this session. How are you doing today, Doctor?
I'm well, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. We won't take much of your time. We'll just jump to the questions. And as you know, that we are here for knowing and understanding about resilience and how can we well-being be helped through resilience. So my first question to you, how do you define resilience and what inspired you to become a resilient coach?
Let me start by thanking Atul and ILA for giving me this opportunity, and to all of you who have taken the trouble to be here today. So resilience is the ability to overcome setbacks. It is the ability to adapt to change. And it is the ability to keep pushing forward in spite of a limitation or an adversity, and reaching the finishing line no matter what. So neurological illness is often associated with disability and psychosocial life challenges and change. So for over 45 years, I have been dealing with patients with neurological illness. And neurological illness, as I said, often leaves behind a disability or a limitation. And because of that, sometimes the life also has to change. So there's a life challenge, and they really get very upset and desperate. And I've helped over 15,000 patients to regain their maximum quality of life and to carry on despite their limitations after a health or a life challenge. So when I started my digital initiative post-COVID, I started an initiative called Be Your Best with Dr. Prithika Chary. I was trying to find my coaching niche. And I kept saying life coach, brain health coach. I kept saying all these things. Then when we had a niche clarity training by Blair Singer, it suddenly hit me that the work I'm doing and the work I want to do are about resilience. And so here I am, resilience coach.
Lovely, lovely. That's a very good testimony. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'd like to understand, what is your purpose that you want to achieve as a resilient coach?
Atul, your voice is
Your voice is a
not
bit
clear.
softer. Yeah, it
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
clear.
Am I audible now?
Now it's better.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, Pratibha, for that.
Still not
It's not audible. How
yeah,
about
now
now?
it is better.
Okay, fine. I'll just be a little closer now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So what is your purpose to achieve as a resilient coach?
See, I have always been promoting something called stress fitness. Now, when you are physically fit and you fall ill, the chances are you will recover faster and better. If you are stress fit, you will be able to face life's challenges and recover from it, cope with it faster and better. So most people actually want to be stress fit. We want to be in such a position that no matter what happens to us, we're able to handle it, we're able to deal with it, we're able to get back as much of our life as we can after that. So what I do in my coaching is I teach people that there is an intimate connection between the spirit, mind, brain, and body. And the body has an infinite healing ability. So if we develop that over the years, even before a challenge happens, or even before you fall sick or something terrible happens, or a tsunami or a earthquake or something hits you, some kind of challenge happens, you are capable of riding that wave much better, because basically you are already stress fit. And one of the most important qualities of stress fitness is resilience, the ability to bounce back. So through my coaching, I want to make people strong, capable of facing life and its challenges, flourish and inspire in spite of that.
Thank you, doctor. That's lovely, doctor. People don't understand about resilience. It's like it's something new for a few of us, especially for me when I researched about it. And, create awareness, hopefully through this session, that you would clear everybody's doubt about resilience. My next question is, how do you incorporate mindfulness and other wellness practices into your coaching?
See, I have a lot of tools, tips, and tricks which I teach. And some of them are about developing a growth mindset. So like, for instance, when you have a growth mindset, when somebody criticizes you, you don't look at it as criticism, you look at it as feedback. So when somebody is jealous of you, you look at it as admiration. You see, you must have something to be jealous of. Absolutely. So your growth mindset will interpret it as admiration.
Admiration. Correct. Yes, doctor.
So what we do is we give you certain strategies in which to learn to look at life that way. You develop the growth mindset. Also, you learn how to do positive self-talk.
Okay.
Because words have power.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And if we berate yourself, I can't do it, I'm useless, I'm this and that, that's what you will be. Absolutely. Like Henry Ford said, whether you say you can or whether you say you can't, you're right.
Correct.
So we teach positive self-talk, we talk about affirmations, we talk about visualization, we talk about meditation, mindfulness, all of these skills we impart. Yes. We also build up emotional, spiritual, and adversity quotient. Mm-hmm. Emotional quotient is about managing your emotions with yourself and with others. Okay. Spiritual quotient is having a sense of purpose and meaning in your life. Mm-hmm. Finding your why. Why do you wake up in the morning? What makes you do what you do? So that is your spiritual quotient. And adversity quotient, there is a thing called adversity quotient. It's your ability to face adversity. Okay. And actually, there is a model in which there's a acronym called CORE.
Okay.
So it consists of one of the components of that, the E part is endurance.
Endurance.
So you need to stick through it when you are having an adversity. O is for ownership. You have to take ownership and say, yes, I'm responsible. I could have brought it on in some way, even if I did not bring it on, I have the power to overcome it. Okay. So
Yes,
just a minute. My notes went off with the.
No, don't worry. Please take your time.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
So the next thing that we impress upon people is that they have to understand that they are responsible for both their choice and their results. So we teach them how to be self-aware, have self-respect, self-love, and understand that self-care should be a priority if you want to be an effective, efficient human being. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. So one of the things we tell people is, don't be like a candle. Throw light for everybody, be everything for everybody, and destroy yourself in the process with nothing left for you. You melt and become nothing. Instead, be like an oil lamp. Because an oil lamp burns in its own flame.
Absolutely.
And when it is burning bright in its own flame, it illuminates the surroundings and it's capable of lighting other lamps.
That's a good one, doctor. That's a very good doctor. I really like that lamp point. And when we talk about adversities, the conflict adversities, many of us are facing the same issues with adversity. I mean, if you can give us a certain example for us to understand a bit about that, doctor, when we talk about adversity.
Okay. Is it okay for me to share my personal story? Do I have the permission
yes,
of the audience?
Please.
Right. During a routine health checkup in December 2016, I was diagnosed with a grade 3 rectum cancer. I was 69 years old at the time, and it was a shock. So many of us, when we are faced with something like that, we go through certain stages. The first stage is shock. The second stage is denial. It's not happening to me. There must be a mistake somewhere. Maybe the doctor made a wrong diagnosis. Something, we suspect the whole thing. Then we get into a state of forced acceptance. Everything around us forces us to accept that it is happening. From that, after a while, when we adjust to it, we move to a state of radical acceptance. We accept the whole situation as it is. And from radical acceptance, we move to a stage where we evaluate the challenge, whatever is happening around us.
Okay.
And when we evaluate it, we may have one of two responses. One is we get totally upset, totally fed up, we quit, we collapse, and we make wrong decisions, we take wrong choices. We just, everybody says, try this, try that, we'll try all these things. We may be just in a desperate state.
Absolutely.
The second choice is we evaluate, we say, okay, I'm vulnerable, I've got this, I need help, I marshal all my resources, what can help me, who can help me, how much money should I have, how many people should I have, etc., etc. And we start working on overcoming the problem.
That's true.
And when we do that, we move into a phase of recovery. So this is a standard response to any stressful event in anybody.
That's a very good point, doctor. That is the different stages that everyone who goes through.
And the other thing which I like to tell people is, the traditional response is, when a stress response is described, everybody is familiar with this, is flight, fight, or freeze. So when you're faced with a stress, the physiological bodily response is either you run away, or you resist and fight the stress, or you just are immobile. So in the animal kingdom, you'll find this immobile is when the animal plays dead. And because the animal possum does it, it's called playing possum. In English, there's an expression.
Playing possum.
That when you play dead, you call it playing possum. Okay?
Yes.
There is one more response called fine. I pretend nothing is wrong. You ask there are some people like that. The whole world will be coming down. They don't want to even react. They don't want to deal with it. They just pretend it's not happening. They distance themselves from the whole situation.
That's true.
So these 4 responses are not the right response. I have come up with 2 more responses. One more, there are 4 F's here. A 5th F is you face it. Just face it. That's where you get into the recovery phase. You face it, you marshal your resources, you deal with it. So when I was diagnosed with the cancer, I'm a person who doesn't know how to ask for help much. But I exposed my vulnerability because I'm a single woman living alone. I wasn't sure who's going to help me. I was not afraid of dying. I was not afraid of the cancer diagnosis. I was afraid of who's going to hold my head when I'm vomiting after chemotherapy, or who's going to take me to radiation up and down. That was my bigger worry. So I exposed my vulnerability. My friends rallied round. Amazing friends, I must say, and I thank them again and again and again for seeing me through. And what I did was I worked on improving my health further. So actually, after the cancer, I think I'm fitter than I was before.
Wow. Wow. Amazing.
Okay. So what you need to, that is resilience.
That's resilience.
You need to use leverage the adversity. Leverage the adversity and turn it around. And so I say, you not only just face it, I say go one step further, flourish.
Flourish. That's lovely. Face it and flourish.
Yes. Wow. That's what you have to do. There's no other go.
That's so.
When you do that, what you do is you make the comeback better than the setback.
Lovely.
And you should work on what I'm working on now, making the rest of your life the best of your life.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So that's what I'm doing now.
Absolutely. You're a wonderful and a true testimony for all of us who can fight back whatever we are facing right now. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Doctor. Doctor, that comes to my next question. What does the current research in neuroscience suggest about the relationship between brain function and resilience?
See, we know more about the brain in the past 50, 60 years than we knew in the previous 500 years. For the simple reason, the change has been technology.
Yes.
See, when I trained, there was no CT scan. So as I grew in my practice, in the 60s, 70s, there was no CT scan. It came in the late 80s. So the CT scan, the MRI, the functional MRI, the PET scan, all of these now have shown us the brain in structure, in function, as it's doing something, which is quite amazing. So we know a lot about the brain. So the way we think about the brain has completely changed. But one thing we knew is that the brain can be rewired and restructured by certain means. But we thought it was happening only in the young developing brain as part of development. But we know now that it can happen throughout your life. And that is called neuroplasticity. So we used to think the brain is a static organ which you cannot do much about. But we now know it's a dynamic organ. You can modify it chemically, electrically, functionally, and structurally throughout your life through a process called neuroplasticity. So the fundamentals of neuroplasticity is that neurons that fire together, wire together. That's one tenet. The other tenet is use it or lose it. So now applying this to our daily life, if you've got a bad habit and if you're trying to change into a good habit, so what are the ways? You do less and less of the bad habit. Those fibers, that pathway will wither away and die. Because in the brain, there is no room for redundancy. Nature does not tolerate anything which is not doing any work. If you're not doing your work, out. It literally destroys itself by a process called apoptosis. Then you look at the good habit. You keep doing it every day. You do it more and more in 21 to 66 days. It becomes part of you. So what have you done? So neurons that fire together, wire together. So you've made a stronger and stronger and stronger connection by repetitive practice.
Practice, yes.
So this is how synapses and synaptic connections in the brain are formed. So even in a child's brain, the child's brain is bigger at birth, but over time it becomes smaller, because what happens once a child starts to walk and talk and all those things, the pathways are set, all the extra neurons are destroyed, because these are firmly established. So when you're 5 years old, you don't look and decide, yes, I'm going to walk, I must put my foot like this, I must lift like this. You do it automatically. Because neuroplasticity has made those fibers strong and capable. So this applies to anything that you learn, any kind of learning. So the more you do of a good thing, the stronger the connection gets. And the less you do of a bad thing, the weaker it gets, and it's likely to fade away.
So, doctor, when you said less of bad things, it's a little difficult for some of us to do that, like maybe unlearning the habit, if I'm correct. So what is that one thing that can help us to unlearn such a habit?
See, the brain has got a natural negativity bias. See, the job of the brain is to protect you, to keep you safe. So it has a natural negativity bias. It's always looking out for danger. You understand?
Yes.
So what it does is, out of 60,000 thoughts that we have in a day, 40,000 are negative. You can call them ants. Like the red ant niggles and bothers you, automatic negative thoughts. Acronym for that is ants.
Ants.
So only 20,000 are positive. So negative thoughts will flow through your brain without resistance. So the first way we look at something is we see what is the worst case scenario. Straight away, naturally.
Yes, doctor.
Then we have the front of the brain. That's at a part of the brain deep inside called the amygdala. Then you have the front of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. Now this is a master. It can control the amygdala and say, look here, from past memory, what you're doing doesn't seem appropriate for this. Say, let us take an example of there's a fire in the room. Suddenly. So what do? Your brain is protecting you and telling you, get up and run.
Yes.
When you get up and run, you're not going to stop and see if somebody else is running or not. You just run.
Yes.
But your prefrontal cortex may tell you, look here, you were sitting with your family. Please take your family along. Then only you overcome that impulse to just run, be reactive, and you become proactive. And you say, yes, I must protect my family also. So you understand. So what we do is, in general, our first response for everything is reactive. The amygdala reaction. Sometimes if this overdoes it, it's called amygdala hijacking. It doesn't allow the prefrontal cortex to even talk to it. Because the previous repeated negative thoughts or negative beliefs or negative behaviors, it's so deeply ingrained in you that you keep doing only that. That's what you said, it's difficult to come out of.
Yes, it is, yes.
So you have to consciously override a negative thought.
Override
it. You have to catch it. Say, look here, this is not appropriate. It's not serving me. I want to let go of this. I'm going to walk away from this. If I can't get a positive response, it's okay. But at least I will not give in to the negative response. So we call this weeding and seeding.
Weeding and seeding.
You have to seed the positive thought. And to overcome one negative thought, you have to seed 6 to 8 positive thoughts. So it is conscious, hard work and effort.
Lovely, lovely. Swati, I see your hands raised. We'll be taking questions after the question and answer round. Thank you so much. We will surely take questions. Thank you. Thank you, Swati. This comes to my next question. What are the factors in general that affects the person's ability to become resilient?
Yeah. So for that, if we go through the characteristics of a resilient person, you get an indirect answer to them. So the first thing is, a resilient person will hold themselves accountable.
Very true.
For their lives.
Yes.
They don't complain. They are self-aware. They know what their limitations are. They accept their limits.
Yes.
They are not afraid to ask for help. They never wallow in self-pity. They decide where they want to go and they go. They don't compare themselves with others. They very often find humor in the absurd. They learn to laugh things off, laugh at themselves usually. In fact, I've downloaded and kept from somewhere 100 self-deprecatory statements you can make. 100 statements which you can say in jest about yourself, in fun of yourself, making fun of yourself. They also accept the reality that you cannot plan everything in your life.
Correct. Yes.
So the only thing you have control over is whatever is happening in this moment. That's it. You can't control the past. You can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. What's going to happen next half an hour is not in your control. What you decide to do right now is all you have in your control. They cultivate a support system. They make friends. They move in the right company. They know. See, I had this wonderful, whole huge lot of friends who were my support system.
Okay.
They just rose like a wave, like a tidal wave. They rose and they came to my help. And that was fantastic. And resilient people take care of themselves because they know you cannot go from an empty cup. They make sure their needs are met. See, difference between needs and wants is, want is something I desire.
Yes.
Need is something I cannot do without.
Correct.
And there are 8 basic emotional needs everybody has, among which one of them is appreciation. Another one is acknowledgement. Another one is safety. So they make sure that their needs are met. Do they feel safe doing whatever job or wherever they are or with whoever they are? Do they feel heard? Do they feel appreciated? Do they feel acknowledged? All of these are important needs which we need to fill our cup. So I think that sums up what actually resilience means.
That's truly sums it up, doctor. Really, really, really. And that's where you come into play, the resilient coach that helps each and everyone to overcome their situations through various exercises and all that. Doctor, my next question, what advice do you have for the people who are struggling to overcome a particularly difficult challenge or a setback?
Well, first of all, I told you, you have to have a growth mindset. And I told you that the typical response is shock, denial, all those stages. So I always insist and start with gratitude.
Very good point. Very good.
So first, be grateful for all that you have. Very often, we don't count our blessings.
Very true.
We are constantly griping about what we don't have. That we forget that we have so much.
Yes.
And what we have may not be in the form of money, may not be in the form of a car or a house or whatever. What you have is you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. If supposing you're able to see, you're able to hear, you're able to walk, you're able to talk, let me tell you as a neurologist, that's a huge gift to be grateful for. Because so many of my patients are unable to do that after an illness, after a neurological illness. So be grateful. Start your day with gratitude. I've been writing a gratitude diary for 30 years.
Wow.
So every day write 3 to 10 things. Writing is very powerful. Write 3 to 10 things you're grateful for. Thank you, God, I woke up today. My friend didn't.
So sorry.
Okay. Thank you, God, for my breath.
Amen.
Thank you, God, for my life. Thank you, God, for this wonderful steaming hot cup of coffee. Thank you, God, Zoom is working and not crashing our meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you, God, for that. Amen.
No, so you can just look around you, you can find hundreds of things to be grateful for. You just have to be aware.
Yes, doctor.
The next thing which I do is look for the good or the learning in every challenge or adversity, or look for the opportunity in the difficulty.
Opportunity in the difficulty. Okay.
See, there is a Tamil saying, I don't know how many of you in the audience know Tamil. They say, "Taliki vandhathu, talapavoda pochi." What they say is, something which came to hit the head went with the turban.
Lovely.
So learn to look at everything that way. Okay, something bad happened. A stone fell on you, but it didn't hit your head. It hit the turban.
Correct.
Okay. So learn to take in the good. I call it taking in the good.
Taking in the good.
So like Atul, when we talked earlier, he said this many people have signed up. I wish more had signed up. I said, be grateful this many signed up.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't half that number or one-third that number. You see, so we need to take in the good in every situation that we face. The next one is, many of us think we alone are suffering, we alone are going through this. Remember, someone, somewhere, sometime has already been through whatever you're going through. You're not alone. So don't think God has picked you to suffer or something like that. Many of us do that. We think,
Yes.
why me? Why not you? Instead of why me? Then be vulnerable. Ask for help. That's a very, very important thing you should know. Remind yourself of all you have already been through in life and which you have overcome. You're
Yes.
standing here today. And that took some doing.
That's true.
Acknowledge and accept that fact. Pat yourself on the back. Hey, you made it this far. And never quit, because life is a marathon. You win only if you reach the finish line. So don't quit midway.
Very true. Very true.
So that's it. That's what I would say. Tips for building your resilience.
Very, very positive tips. I know a lot of people are going to take a lot of key takeaways. Doctor, before our last question, I just want to ask, can you share something from your life that inspired many? Is there something that you could like to share with us?
Well, I have inspired a lot of people. I'm proud to say, because by nature, I am a kind of a free spirit. I don't like to be bound down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I take my freedom with responsibility. Mm-hmm. And my life philosophy, or what drives me, what I think about every morning is that I am a contributor. God put me on this earth to be a contributor. So a person or a place must be better because I passed through, or because I touched that life. Right. In whatever way, maybe a very minuscule way, but that life or place is going to be better because I passed through. And that is my job on earth. So that is my purpose. That is my driving passion. Mm-hmm. And I always tell everybody, try to be a day maker and go mad every day. Mm-hmm. That means make somebody's day.
Make somebody's day.
Okay. So that's being a day maker. And going mad is make a difference.
Oh, MAD, another acronym.
So go mad every day. Go and make a difference every day.
Lovely.
So you're likely to be happy. You feel you're making a difference in the world. And everybody can do it, because each one of us has got only one DNA. And you're unique. Something in you is unique and different and special. You have to acknowledge that. You have to understand you're worthy. You have to understand that you're a little bit of divinity put on this earth to have a physical experience.
Absolutely.
So you're a spiritual being having a physical experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it is your duty to manifest that divinity. So don't play small. Don't play small. Play your best. Be your best version. Play as big as you can. Don't let anybody convince you that you should play small, because you don't serve anybody by playing small. Not yourself, not the world around you.
Mhm. Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for that. How many of us want to be mad? Every day be mad. Comment on the line MAD, mad. Let's see how many of us want to be mad. Let's see those chats. Yes, thank you, Reena. Thank you, everyone. That's lovely. That's lovely. Doctor, you see the responses?
I
I
can
was
see.
so enlightened by all that you've spoken. I know that once I open this unmute, a lot of questions will be coming your way. Once again, Doctor, thank you so much, everyone. That's lovely. Always remember, make a difference. Mad. So, Doctor, any pearls of wisdom before we jump into the audience round? Any
Yeah.
pearls of wisdom?
See, just one thing. See, whenever something happens to you or a challenge happens to you, all of us, we often tell you, no, try to be a survivor, not a victim. But I think you should go beyond that. Because surviving in my book is not enough. You have to learn to thrive and then inspire both yourself and other people. Based on whatever challenge you have gone through, you should be able to inspire others. And I hope through my initiatives, that's what I'm doing. Actually, we are doing a course at the end in April. We are launching a 10-week course called Manifesting Mindset Magic.
Manifesting.
Where with your mindset, you can literally, life becomes magical.
Mm-hmm.
So Atul has got the link for that. If any of you are interested, and if you want to go to my website, he will put the link and the thing in the chat box. You're welcome to go and see. We've got free ebooks there which you can download, which is called, one is called 10 Things You Can Do to Overcome Improve Outcome After Illness. Another one is a little book on grit. Next week, we'll be putting in one more book called Little Book on the Power of Choice. So if this resonates with you, whatever I'm talking, you can join me for a deeper experience. There are so many options you have. You have self-learning courses, you have live courses, you have one-to-one coachings, you have so many things. You have my ebooks. So you're welcome to join the journey with me. And let's go over to the question answer.
Yes. Now is the time that all of you, whoever wants to ask questions, please raise your hands, unmute yourself. I am guessing it is Swati who raised her hand. Swati, we're ready to take your questions. And if nobody can ask questions, please mention your questions on the chat box so I can take it and ask the doctor. So please, this session is open up. Please unmute yourself and ask away.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. First of all, thank you, ma'am. It was really good hearing you out. Unfortunately, I could not make the entire session. I joined in between, so I missed a bit. But whatever I heard was, awesome. So my question to you is, basically you spoke about how the brain has some impulses and how it becomes stronger the more we use it, and or dies out if we don't use it, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to know, there are sometimes, I work in a school and there are children who come and tell me sometimes, that they have this, really strong electrical impulse kind of a thing passing through their brain when they're just about to fall asleep or when they're really tensed. When I've had the counseling sessions, this is what they've told me. What is this that is happening to them, and is it okay?
It's not really electrical sensation. It is a question of them being very high strung at that time. So it is not a real thing. It is more in their imagination than a reality. Such things don't happen. But you do feel a slight hyper feeling before you drop asleep. And also another thing that happens just before you drop asleep is you may do that. There may be a movement. Some people think they're getting fits before going to sleep. It is called sleep myoclonus.
Okay.
And it is there is a sleep alertness which happens just before you go to sleep.
Okay. So how do they overcome
it's nothing
such
to
things?
nothing to worry about. Just reassure them, tell them it's fine. That means your brain is very active. Just calm it down and go to sleep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. Thank you for the question. Anybody else, please unmute and ask away. Yes, Pratibha, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prithika. This is my second session which I am attending of yours, and it's really amazing to have more insights on the brain and all. My question to you is like, how can the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere come together? Means the alignment of the both the brains. What can we do for the alignment?
See, there is a belief that the left and the right hemispheres behave independently. They don't. They need to work together. Okay? There are some functions which the left hemisphere does better. Some functions the right hemisphere does better. Now, it is like, say, 5 people in an office. Okay? Now, in a push, when 2 people are on leave, these 3 people can do the work of the 5 people. Yes? They may not do it as efficiently in that particular area where those 2 are experts. But they can make it work. They can carry it out. So like that, the right and the left hemisphere. Now for the left hemisphere, the main function is verbal. And it's sequential. It's logical, analytical. So it excels in that. The right hemisphere excels in visuospatial, like map reading, navigation. Even arithmetic is a visuospatial kind of task. Geometry and all is visuospatial. And creativity, imagination, music, all of these tasks are better done by the right hemisphere. So now when a right hemisphere gets a disorder, it doesn't mean you lose your complete visuospatial ability. The only thing which gets affected like that, isolated, is speech and language.
Okay.
Because speech and language tends to localize to one hemisphere. So in all right-handed individuals and in some left-handed individuals, speech and language is in the left hemisphere. So if you get damage to your left hemisphere, you can lose your speech and language for life even. But it can be also retrained depending on the reason why it happened. And in a few left-handed people, it may be there in the right hemisphere. Okay? It can be localized to the right hemisphere. Of course, there are some people who use both their hands equally well. They're called ambidextrous. There are some people who are clumsy with both their hands. They're called ambilevous. So in them, the lateralization is still the left hemisphere, but the right hemisphere will be a little bit more strong in taking over speech functions in case something happens to the left hemisphere. Also, there are a lot of exercises which we teach, which cross-body exercises, which help you to sync your right and left hemispheres. One of them is this alternate nostril breathing, which we do. It's a kind of pranayama. So you inhale through the left, let out through the right, inhale through the right, let out. That you are syncing your right and left hemisphere. Anything you do across the body, that is movements which go across the body. Or when you take the knee, elbow to the knee, across, like that. All of these can help sync your right and left hemispheres. And when you do things, now if you're a right-handed person, if you start doing a few things with your left hand, start brushing your teeth with your left hand instead of your right hand. Or you change the route that you take to work, or supposing you follow the same road every day, go by a different route. So you keep doing this, you keep challenging the brain. So there is a test called the Stroop test, where we put letters and words on the screen, and the letters and words will have a different color. So we will tell you, you have to tell the color or whether you have to tell the number.
Yeah. This
It's called a Stroop test. So that also challenges your right-left connections. And in general, the talk between the right and the left hemisphere happens through a thick tissue in the center called corpus callosum, which in women is 23% more. And so it is believed that women are able to multitask better because their connections, the wiring has been determined now by science, run crisscross across the two hemispheres. Whereas for men, the wiring runs this way. So you'll find that men are capable of focusing on a task better. Women, very often men and women have a clash on this ground. So if they go for dinner, for instance, the man is talking, say, buying a new house or something very serious. So the woman will be talking and then suddenly she say, hey, look at that lady, her sari is very pretty. This irritates the men. It's not that she's not focusing. She's focusing on what you're talking also. But she's able to do that, where a man can't do that. If he's doing this, he'll only do this. So there are also gender differences a little bit in the brain, which we can adapt to later. So I hope that answers your question.
Oh, it was
but our education, unfortunately, is very heavily left-brained. So there is a lot of teaching and teachers and special schools and all that. In fact, recently I was chief guest in a function where they launched right brain education. One of the schools in Chennai has started right brain education. It improves the creativity, the speed of reading and all that. And there are children who are 3 years old who are reading 10 books after right brain education. So whether it's good or bad is a different question. But the abilities are so much more. So the left brain sometimes restricts the right brain in being creative. So our education system should include art and music and dancing and all that as part of the curriculum. Unfortunately, even games has been lost. Children don't play games nowadays. There are no playgrounds in schools.
Thank you so much, Doctor. That was very enlightening for all of us.
Sorry, am I giving too long-winded answers?
No. Pratibha, we'd love to take. There's a lot of questions. Sorry about that, Pratibha.
Actually, this question was related to that itself. I just wanted to ask one more question regarding the midbrain activation. What is that, ma'am?
I think we'll skip that for now because it will take up too much time.
Yes,
Okay.
Pratibha. Thank you so much for that questions. Anybody else would like to ask questions before I get into the chat? Yes, Nita, please unmute.
Hi, doctor. Thank you so much. Yeah. So thank you so much for all the valuable insight that you have given us. It was really helpful. So, doctor, I have a question. How can you detach yourself or your own emotions from someone on whom you are quite dependent? If you can allow me to take your example, can I go ahead so that I can?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, doctor. So, as you were talking about your friends, right? You said that there was a time when you had a lot of problem, you were going through a difficulty situation, and you were dependent on some of your friends. So you had few of your friends who helped them. Now, see, if I take this scenario, now say I am quite dependent on these friends, but at the same time, I do understand that one of my friend or two of my friends are not good for me, or maybe I came across they are toxic people. Now, I have figured it out, and now I also know my solution. I'm also in a situation where I know what is the solution. I have to detach myself from them. So I got my answer as well. But now I'm talking about the emotions. Now, as you are quite close to them, and you're also at the same time dependent on them, so there are two things going on at the same time. The first thing, how can you detach your emotions as you have a close association with them? And the second one, you also have a kind of a need, because you have to be dependent on them. So there are two things which comes at the same time. I'm pretty much sure that these kind of a situation happens with a lot of us. So I'm talking about in regards of the professional area. It could be any of the personal area as well. So you know that this person is not good, you toxic, you want to detach yourself, but at the same time you're quite dependent on that person for some of the reason. It could be professional or personal. So how can we come across these situation, doctor?
You have to first decide how important the relationship is.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you are willing to, the relationship is not serving you,
Mm-hmm.
you are willing to sacrifice the relationship. True, you say you're dependent on them. You have to be willing to sacrifice that dependence.
Okay.
Okay, because you have to decide, is this harming me every single day?
Mm-hmm.
Is it serving me every single day?
Okay.
So if you keep on staying in when you know it is toxic,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't change them, and you know the
Correct.
situation is not going to resolve.
Mm-hmm.
I can't share it here, but there is one person in the audience who knows when I say that I went through a similar thing with a family member recently.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, the relationship became too toxic.
Mm-hmm.
I was being exploited, manipulated, and all kinds of things, lied to, taken advantage of.
Mm.
So it's a very close relationship, and I may need their help sometime. But no, clean cut. You have to make a clean cut because it's your survival.
Correct, doctor.
So you have to decide how valuable is the relationship more important or your health
Needs
more
or
important,
demands. So
your
yeah.
emotion more important. And remember that you always have a choice.
Correct, doctor.
You only think you don't have a choice because what you are doing is you want to hold on to this and this.
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
You
So
have to
this
make
is something happens, yeah, most
you
of
have
the
to make a
time. Yeah.
choice. You have to make a choice. You have
Okay,
to take responsibility for your choice and say, okay, this is a relationship I'm willing to walk away from. I'm willing to let go
okay.
because it doesn't serve me.
All right, doctor.
Right.
Thank you so much, doctor. Thanks a lot for answering this question. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neeta. Swati, I'm sorry, we'll have to give others also a chance because due to interest
Yeah,
of
because
time.
I have to go for another meeting also.
Yes, doctor has another very important meeting. Sorry about that. Anybody else before we can go into the chats? Just one last question. Please feel free to unmute and ask. Okay, fine. So I'll just jump to the chat now. Doctor, there was one question from you from Janita. She said that one of her relatives complained of a thunder striking pain on the frontal part of her head, of his head. And due to that, he either has high BP or a bad headache. That's what is a question from Janita.
Now, actually, I do not take medical queries here because I don't want it to be mistaken for medical advice.
Done, doctor. Janita, I hope you've got your answer for that. And the next one is, dear madam, if the toxic people are in your workplace, we can't cut down them. We have to get the work from them. How we can? Sorry about the grammar.
What I do is I have a method called the parallel line relationship. This is my own, I've developed this. So I go my way, you go your way. There's no need to meet. But if we do meet, I will behave with you like a stranger. I will be civil, I will be polite, I will be kind, I will be normal, exactly as I would with a total stranger. I will not turn my face, I will not make faces at you, I will not refuse to say good morning to you. I will remain neutral.
Very good.
Okay? But I will not have too much intimate interaction with you. I will not ignore you. But at the same time, I will not seek you out. If we meet, if we are thrown together, we'll get the job done. We are here to get a job done. We'll get the job done. And you may be the best person for the job. So my ego doesn't come in the way. We get the job done. But don't expect to be, I'm going to be very friendly with you and I'm going to put my arm around your shoulder and we're going to have coffee together. No, I won't do all that. I'll work with you. You're my colleague. We have to do this job. The job has to be done. So it's neither your way nor my way, but the best way. And this is called choosing the middle path in Buddhism. So this works very well for me. I call it the parallel line relationship. And it works in families, it works in workplaces, it works everywhere. Because nobody can say, oh, she spoke rudely, or she turned her face at me, or she called me names. Nobody can say that. You have taken the high road. If they want to fret and fume, that's their problem.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. We'll take one more question. Doctor, I know you've got 5 more minutes. This is by Seema. She's like, thoughts are manifested. What if our negative thoughts get manifested? So how do you stop getting those negative and fearful thoughts?
I think I've already answered that. You have to train yourself. You have to see, we just finished a 10-week course on rebooting your brain for resilience. We are now running a course called Boost Your Brain Power. And we are launching our next course in April called Manifesting Mindset Magic. After that, we've got 2 more courses lined up, which are life skills for 2023 and beyond. And another one called Soul Gym and Brain Sculpting. So various aspects of the brain and how your thoughts and actions and all can be managed are being done in all these courses. And right now I've got 4 clients whom I'm doing one-to-one coaching with. Okay, one person is he's got about 3 companies, turnover is some 800 crores or something. But he is having issues. Another person is 2 doctors, all senior doctors. So everybody has issues. That's what I want you to understand. You're not alone.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for that. And thank you so much for your time. I hope everybody was enlightened by today's session. That really helped us understand a lot.
Yeah, can we get some feedback in the chat?
Yes, please. By the request of Doctor, please do let us know how was your session. And please do comment on that. We were live on YouTube. So this is available on YouTube. So if you want to go back and just refer to a few of Doctor's words of wisdom, you can get back. You can go on the Indian Leadership Academy YouTube channel and you can find this. And do let us know how can we connect with you, Doctor. That is one question. Doctor's on LinkedIn, on Instagram. You just need to type down her name and you will surely get her. Thank you so much, Swati. Yes, that is the doctor's email ID. You can find her on Instagram and on LinkedIn. We all are following her. You will see lovely and wonderful updates from her, enlightening ones, I would always say. So let us know how was the session. Do comment below or comment on the YouTube link, the YouTube channel. And do let us know how was this session and how it has helped you in some way or the other, or on LinkedIn. Do let us know on ILA or personally message our doctor here. And once again, Doctor, on behalf of everyone, we want to thank you so much for taking time and coming. This was truly a fruitful session and really helped us understand a lot of things and how our brain really functions. So, Doctor, we won't take much of your time. I know you have
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Yeah,
God bless you. And thank you all for being there till the very end. Looking forward to seeing you for the next episode of Tuesday Talkies. Thank you all and have a blessed evening. Thank you, Doctor.
Bye.
Bye-bye.